We're going to try to get started now. We have our last session, formal session of the day. We're going to talk specifically about risk and uncertainty, although we've been talking a lot about that for the entire day. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, but really just kind of hone in on some of those things that are a little outside of the topic we've already covered. We have two speakers for this session. We have Vinny Hero from the Army Corps. He's going to talk about managing risk from the Corps' perspective. So we'll get a little bit agency regulated perspective. And then Megan McNeil from King County, we've heard about some of your projects today. She's going to talk about her program and how King County is addressing some of these issues around risk and uncertainty, given that the county is very risk averse, and how that plays out in their decision making. So Vinny, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to actually talk a little bit about everything from the Corps' perspective and sponsor. And this is mostly for very new fee projects or programs, like the Wisconsin folks, I think, the BLM from Nevada. This won't apply to some of you that already have established programs so much. So starting a new program, some of the things that you need to look at when you're just in the early stages of, hey, you want to do a new fee program. Do you have the staffing? Do you have the expertise? And something I think Michael talked about it. It's big business. It's not just putting projects in the ground and having a nice environmental project. You need lawyers, you need accountants, you need technical folks. I mean, it's a whole thing. It's a big deal, and you need to be prepared for it. It's not just okay, 3 months, we're going to do this project. One, is there a need? Is there a need for credits? What development is going on in the area where we might be proposing this? How many banks are in that area? Are you going to be able to sell credits? Those are things that, because once you start this project or this program, you're in it and it's in for the long haul. Does the sponsor know the program? Do they know the final mitigation rule? Do they know about the core? Do they know, again, what I talked about earlier, all the things that go into it, financial, technical, legal. A few things for the sponsor. When you're thinking about it, does the core district that you're going to be working with have an ongoing program? Are they also starting the program brand new like you? I think I talked to the BLM folks, and they were saying their PM is brand new at doing this. So they're kind of growing together. That's something you're going to want to think about if you're going to be putting out a lot of money. It could be a long process. Timelines. First of all, SOP, and I'll talk about that in the roundtable. Is there a developed SOP in the district or within your agency or organization? You don't want to just kind of freelance it, otherwise things are going to go downhill very quickly. Trust me. Be aware of the timelines, mitigation rule. There's timelines out there. Also be aware they're not always met. You might come to your Corps PM and say, you're supposed to do this in 30 days. And the Corps PM will be like, well, my chief told me to do this. Sorry. So be aware of that things don't always go as is lined out in the rule or lined out in an SOP. Know about the Corps' workload. I talked to a couple people today. Different Corps districts have different priorities. Actually, Norfolk District, banking, in lieu fee, those are not our top priority. They are a priority, but permits, individual permits, those are some of the bigger things that are a priority for our district. So be aware of that, and that kind of goes into the whole timeline thing. Things don't always go as you think they should. Some of the important things to think about, you want to get projects in the ground. You want released credits, you want to try to stay away from those advanced credits. Get them in the ground, get them going. Schedule pre-application meetings early on, especially if you're going to consider starting a brand new program. Talk early and talk often with the Corps, with DEQ, schedule a meeting with IRT. Because IRT, like I said most of today, they play a big part and what happens with these programs. Once you get going, this is kind of farther on, make sure you submit everything at once. Don't kind of piecemeal it. Here's our prospectus, here's our title search. Try to get everything together. Makes things go faster, less confusing for the core, for the IRT. IRT, at least our IRT, hates it when you just give them a document. And 2 months later, here's another document. I know there's some members that won't even look at things unless they're in a complete package. So those are kind of things to keep in mind. Again, at the bottom there, communicate. Let's see at the bottom there again, communicate. When you're setting up a new program, be aware of the chain of command and your point of contact for the core, as well as for your own agency. That prevents somebody from going to my boss's boss and saying, hey, Vinny's not doing this. But you know what? That's probably not going to help things go faster. Just let me know. Know the process, know the chain of command. Start with me, talk to me, and also the core should be talking to you. I know just from working with our ILF, with our bankers, the worst thing that you can do is not talk to people. Even if you're not going to do anything with the project, or as you as an ILF person, call the core and say, hey, it's going to be 2 months before I get you this document. And as a core person, the few that are in here, call your ILF person. Say, hey, I got your document. Something came up. It's going to be a while before I get to it. Just stay in contact. If you stay in contact, pick up a phone, that goes a long way with both the ILF folks and the core folks. Keep good records, document, that's obviously. A couple of folks talked earlier about the nod and handshake like we used to do things. And I've got a couple of banks, not in the ILF, it's a couple of banks where a sponsor, they're like, well, Vinny, 2 PMs ago said this was fine, or 3 PEQ PMs ago said, oh, we don't have to monitor anymore. Will we have it writing? Well, no. That's a problem now when you're going to close out a bank. So those are things to think about early. By the way, all these pictures are in the sites squished. And that's it. And there's my dog, and a couple other dogs, and those are all in the sites.
Great. Thank you, Vinny.
Any questions?
Questions? Where we'll come up, I think that, a number of those points we're going to come up against from Jessica.
So I understand there's always been this jump or happening in the level line, I practice spending time on, like, completely sympathetic to the pressure that you're put under. I don't think Congress is dragging in front of panels to talk to you about mitigation. They want to know how long it's taking to process permits.
Correct.
Could you repeat the
Does
question?
the board have a mechanism for some agencies and charge permitting that can be used by federal agencies to fund staff, which is one way to increase your not to be able to deal with these kinds of workload issues? Is that something that the board has authority to do?
Okay, the question was, Congress obviously doesn't, they're interested in how fast we get permits out. They're not concerned necessarily with mitigation banks. There's not special funding to do mitigation banks. Her question was, are there mechanisms in place for an ILF program or anybody else to fund a position at the core? Is that what you were saying?
Can you charge more for permit fees and use as a means to fund more staff?
Oh, can we charge more for permit fees? Let's say that's a legal question. No, no, I mean, that's a Congress thing as far as, yeah, that would be a Congress thing. I mean, as it is, the most we charge for a permit is $100. So, I mean, nobody's making money. I mean, there are agreements. I mean, there's the WRDA, the Water Resources Development Act, that funds positions for DOT projects within some core programs and core districts. There's good and bad to that. There's a lot of oversight in a lot of it, I know. But as far as charging higher fees, that's a Congress thing, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Devin?
Dennis?
As a follow-up to that, there are core IRT people who are dedicated to mitigation. And then in some core districts and then in other core districts, it's, 20% of your time. How is that possible in one core district and not another?
The question was, in some core districts, there's one person that's dedicated to mitigation or to IRT. And in other districts, there's not. Is that kind of what you're saying? That's a district by district thing. We just got a subject matter expert hired, transferred, within, and she's going to be focusing strictly on mitigation. I do a lot of projects. I'm not on IRT, but I am a project manager for a lot of new feed projects. That eats up a lot of time, but I also have my other projects to do. So that is a district by district decision and a branch chief by branch chief decision. And a lot of your districts say, hey, why don't you get a person that strictly does mitigation? Maybe that would help.
Michael?
Michael?
There are some politically connected people in the private sector that are looking to lobby Congress after this election to charge fees, substantial fees, for mitigation bank application fees to fund positions, both in the core for reviewing banks and in the fee. That's something that's being looked at by.
Michael just made a statement that he said there are some politically connected bankers or associations that are lobbying Congress to have fees charged to the bankers to put the banking things through the core process to try to fund people in the core. He's just kind of making a statement.
Steve, did you want to follow up on?
That's good. That's good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you.
I don't know if I already talked to the microphone before, so my name is Megan McNeil. I'm the Inland Sea Program Manager at King County. And just a quick background about me, I've been with the county about a year now. And prior to that, I spent 7.5 years working for an entrepreneurial mitigation maker in Florida. So I just wanted to give you guys an overview of where we are. King County is in Western Washington. We include the city of Seattle as well as many urban areas around Seattle. The western portion of our county is very urban. The central portion is a little more rural, and the eastern portion is mountainous and forest. Our program, like Gail mentioned before, has 7 service areas within the county. And since 2012, when we were authorized, we've done 21 credit transactions that accounted for about 9 acres of impact, and that was $17.7 million in revenue. With that money, so far, we've restored about 17 acres. We have 23 more acres of restoration that's pending, and we also acquired about 24 acres of land, 11 for preservation, about 13 that will be restored. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about risk and uncertainty within the programs. And I thought it'd be good to start out with a little bit of a definition of where I'm coming from, what is risk. And this is really fitting. Donald Rumsfeld had a quote, "There are known knowns. These are things that we know that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we know we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. These are things that we don't know we don't know." So risks are known unknowns, and uncertainties are unknown unknowns. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this presentation. So in the ILF fee, there's a lot of risks, things that we know that could change. For example, credit demand. We do a lot of research on how many permits are in each service area and what we think the demand is going to be, but a lot of that has to do with the real estate market or development trends in the economy, so it can change. Timing of credit purchase with a 3-year window for implementation to begin. It's really important when the credit purchase steps actually occur. You can have an applicant come to you and they might need credits and it happens in 3 months, or it might take 3 years before you actually get that money and are able to use it towards implementation. With timeframes like that, where we're looking at the future, increases in construction costs, especially if we're in a good economy, construction is going to keep increasing as we move forward. The availability of land. This can be, with the county, we own a lot of land, and sometimes we're acquiring it. So this could be, is the land for sale? Is it available to be purchased? Or it could also be, is there someone else in the county who has grant money? Maybe they're going to do a standard restoration project. Maybe there's someone else who kind of has a piece of land set aside, so it's no longer available by the time that we need it for a project. So as the previous session talked about, it's really important to have accurate credit pricing. And this is a risk that we take with each credit sales obligation that we must fulfill. And having as accurate credit pricing as we can is really important. There's also risks with natural risks that can occur on the site. In Washington, we deal a lot with beavers, changes in the hydrology of our sites, weed management, are the plants that we plant going to survive? Then there's vandalism. In an urban area, like Gail mentioned with the Schmidt-Wind property, we have issues with people coming on site, stealing things. There's been, not in Luffy projects, but county projects where people have come in to build scour structure and cut logs out for firewood. There's a lot of things to consider that could go wrong or could increase your costs, as well as unauthorized activities. Then when you look at uncertainties, this is unknown unknowns. So I can't really say everything that could come about for uncertainties, but these are kind of an overview of things that we might consider. Climate change is a big issue. We don't know what climate change is going to bring, but we have some ideas, and we may be designing around that. Regulatory uncertainty, timeframes for permit reviews, things that we don't know. The political environment can change rules, and your program could be upended, maybe like some people were in 2008. Political relationships with the county. I'm way down here, and there's a lot of people up here who are making decisions, and it could be that there's some tiff between the county and some other entity, and we can no longer do business in that area, or you don't really know what could happen. Natural disasters is another one that comes to mind, but again, that's kind of these are unknown unknowns, so it could be any number of things. So how does King County address the large amount of risk and uncertainty within the fee? With the county, before I came here, I met with our director of the Water and Land Resources Division, and I said, what is your main concern with the ILF program? What keeps you up at night? And Mark Isaacson said, I want to know where's that money going to go. I don't want us to bring in a bunch of money and not have a place for it to be used. So in order to address that issue, we identify a site and usually a concept before we have a credit sale. We have an idea of where that money is going to go and an idea of what we're going to do. We have a lot of expertise in the county, and we engage those experts throughout the process as we're identifying sites. I can go to any number of people in the county and say, hey, do you have a good restoration project on the Cedar River? And they can point me to several. So we have a great deal of staff knowledge that's really very helpful for that. We also, so since we're identifying sites, we're basing our credit pricing on an actual project on an identified site. And that's part of the reason that some of our pricing has changed from the initial pricing in our ILF instrument is we're now figuring out where these projects are going to go before we do have the credit sale and determining the credit price based on, the actual on the ground concept. We also, in our pricing, we include a construction contingency, a pretty significant amount to make sure that, when we do construction projects, we design in-house and then we go out to bid to the construction. So, bids can be very different depending on economic situations. So we have a construction contingency included in our pricing. As Gail mentioned, we include a land fee on top of our credit prices. And then our program account is split up by service area. We have a project account that's used for design and implementation of the project. We have a contingency account, which is designed to take care of any issues that arise along the way. Say all of our plants die, we might have to dip into that contingency account. We have a long-term management account that earns interest, and it's designed to pay for the management of the property in perpetuity, and then of course the admin account. So I think that those kind of sideboards really help our program to manage the risk and uncertainty that comes along with the fee. And again, like I mentioned before, having the right staff. The people we have at King County are really good at implementing projects, and they know what's needed to make these projects successful. A little bit more on managing risk and uncertainty. We try to collect data on our properties as soon as we can. So right now, I'm in the process of purchasing a property. While I'm going through that process, we're putting water level recorders out there, and we're getting as much data as we can so we can design these projects to be successful as we can. We design with climate change in mind. We're having more floods more often. We're having higher temperature. We're having changes in rainfall. We're having beavers back up water and making the water level higher. So we're designing our projects with those things in mind. We're also beginning planning and design as soon as the funds are available. So we'll get funds in the door to start design of a project, and then once we get the remaining funds in the door, we'll go to construction. So we're trying to make sure that we're moving the ball forward as soon as possible to meet those timelines. And within King County, our staff is really good about getting together and talking about lessons learned. We've done some research on plants. Some people in Washington will plant their trees and then irrigate them. And we found that it's less expensive to plant the trees, see what survives, and then if some of them die, plant more later. So we have a lot of in-house expertise that's helped us develop, protocols moving forward to manage the risks in the least expensive way. And then I think that Vinny kind of mentioned this is communication and building those relationships with your IoT, making sure that they're on board with what you're doing. Communicate often and talk to them about your ideas and what projects you're thinking about doing. So when you actually go and plan in a mitigation plan, this isn't the first time they've heard about this project. They've been on board the whole way. They know what's going on. It's really a relationship where you're working together with the IoT, and if they're happy with what you're doing, then everyone's going to be successful. That's all I have.
Thank you, Megan. Questions, comments?
Yeah, so one of the practices that you identified for managing risk was that you identify your sites and concepts before credit sale. How does that work in practice? So a permit applicant approaches you for a potential
potential credit sale in a given service area and say, hold on, and you go do some reconnaissance or research before you say yes or no?
Well, with the consultants that we work with, well, the question was if we're identifying a site before we have a credit sale, are we telling our clients to wait while we figure that all out? And, one of the benefits of the county is we have a lot of projects going on, and they may not all be, they may be ideas that people have that they don't have money for. And a lot of times I'll go to our staff members and say, hey, what project do you really want to happen that's good for the watershed that you don't have the money for? Maybe I can help with that. But to your question, a lot of times when a consultant, usually it's a consultant coming to us, a lot of times when they come to us, it's not the day that they want to purchase the credits. It's usually, before they even apply, and we really encourage our consultants to communicate with us and tell us, what's coming down the pipeline so we can be prepared, so that we can be ready when, we don't want to be the one holding up the permit. That being said, what's happened in practice is we've gotten some projects in the ground, and then we've started looking, we have a lot of demand in the county, so we've started looking as soon as that project's, we see that project's going to fulfill all the credit, we start looking for the next one. So, we're, constantly making sure that we're going to have enough, basically, inventory to offset those credits. Yeah.
Also, I think you should mention that what we did was we combined, instead of the admin funds being deliberate for each service area, we combined the admin fund for all service areas. So if there was a service area like the White River that had no credit sales, they could use their admin funds to look for a site in an area that had no credit sales. Otherwise, how would they pay for that if each admin fund was deliberate for each service area? So we're going to talk a little about that tomorrow, but that was another way they were able to do that.
And for those of you listening in, Gail Tersey just mentioned that one thing that we do at the county is we're combining all of our admin funds instead of splitting it by service area. Most of our accounts are split by service area, but admin account can be combined. So there could be an area where we don't yet have a sale, but we can use a little bit of that money to start looking for a site when a potential client is coming to us, even though the funds for that service area haven't been paid yet. Devin?
Yeah, just to follow up with that, I think, Gail, you said the White River doesn't have any sales. Going ahead and finding a concept, finding a potential site, and getting somebody excited about, one of your county partners excited that you might be able to put the money into that, and then you say, hold on for 7 years until we've sold enough credits. I mean, how does that work in practice? I kind of struggle with that idea of advance going into these service areas ahead of time, finding properties that are for sale, and then sitting on it for an indeterminate amount of time.
So the question was, how can we go to our county partners and say, I want to do this project in the service area, and then maybe having a big delay between when we talk about it and when the credit sale actually happens. And in practice in our area, large delays haven't really been a big issue. And we don't necessarily go and buy a property before we're ready to implement a project, other than Chinook Wind being the outlayer there. But typically we're, either we have all the money or most of the money in hand to do that project. So we're kind of looking ahead. As we sell credits, we're looking ahead to what's the next site, and our demand is enough, and our credit sales are usually pretty high dollar amount. We've had several, rail projects and road projects and those sorts of things that have been able to mostly fund some of the projects. So we're just, our management doesn't want us to sell credit if we don't know where that money's going to go. So we just have to do a little bit of due diligence to make sure that we have a place. And like Gail mentioned, the White River, we don't have a site set, but I've been talking to people internal as well as other jurisdictions that I might be able to partner with to get an idea, and I have enough certainty that I can tell my management, I'm pretty sure I should be able to find an option for this. So we're just looking ahead so that the county isn't in a place where we're holding on to this money with nothing to do with it.
Other questions? Great. Thanks so much, Megan. That was a great presentation. Thank you so much. So that's it for our formal presentations for today. I want to thank you to all the speakers again.